Hello and welcome to Fergie's Gum. My name is Nathan Irvine and I'm joined by my co-partner that is dancing. He's having a dance. I don't know why. It's going to be a terrible ramp cast, this. It's Mr. Paul Cropper all the way from Bury. How you doing, mate?
Good morning, sunshine. Good morning. Well, I'm not well, but I'm just dancing just to get over it. So let's do that.
Dance the sadness away, mate. That's the best way to do it.
It is. Yeah.
But yeah, we're recording on Wednesday, the 14th of January. Last night, Michael Carrick was appointed interim manager of Manchester United. Darren Fletcher had his 2 games. We'll talk about the Brighton game shortly. I guess the first question, I'm just going to ask you straight off. What do you think about Carrick being appointed as manager?
Well, yeah. Why not? This is my thoughts. Why not? It can't do any worse. Can't do any worse. I mean, he was a good club legend. Is that a bit overhyped? He was a very good club player, wasn't he? For us, he was a really good player. Seems like a calm head. I watched his interview with Rio Ferdinand not long ago, actually, and he comes across very well. Did all right at Middlesbrough. He seems like he's very intellectual about football, and that's how he played the game as well. So I say why not? Because it seemed it was him or Ollie, didn't it? And I know a lot of people, Ollie's at the wheel, etc. I feel like he had his shot. I feel like he had his time. And when we've seen him, when he left, and at that picture of him, broken man, still sticks in my head. So yeah, why not? Why not Michael Carrick? What irritates me is, sorry, I'll just finish this on that bit. It feels like we're writing off the rest of the season again, and that's not good enough. That's how I feel.
It's interesting actually because I watched the Michael Carrick interview that he did with Inside Carrington. The first thing I'll say is that I hope he's a better coach than he is a talker, because I wasn't inspired by what he was saying. He's just stumbling over things, which again, when you're taking over Manchester United, you have to be a good talker. Look at Darren Fletcher. I thought he did fantastic in his pre-match and post-match interviews. I thought he was great. I thought he was inspiring. I thought he really nailed a lot of things. Carrick, I felt, maybe got his PR training 2 minutes before he stepped into that podcast, because there was a couple of lines where, I don't know if it was in that, I've seen it quoted, but there was a line where he said the Glazers are good or something like that. You know, they're great owners. They just leave you to it. That might have been from an interview a long time ago. But what I did hear from the Inside Carrington thing was him say within 2 minutes, best in class. You know, it's great, this facility, you know, we want best in class. And that's an Ineos line. Do you know what I mean? It's
spiel.
Spiel. Exactly. Don't want to hear it again. But interestingly, Solskjaer didn't get the job because the rumor, if rumors are to be believed, it was because he wanted guarantees that if he got into the Champions League, he would get the job permanently at the end of the season. Whereas Michael Carrick went into it with, like, you know, eyes wide open. If I get the job at the end of the season, brilliant, but I will try to take the club into the Champions League regardless. And I think ultimately as well, Ollie had Carrick and Kieran McKenna doing all the work. It wasn't Ollie that was doing everything himself. It was those guys. So I think they've kind of made the right choice. I think you can call him a club legend. I thought he was fantastic. We still haven't replaced him now. You know, he's been long retired. So I think that's fair enough. I don't think it is season written off. I don't think they see it like that either. I think they got rid of Ruben because obviously they knee-jerked into it because they don't like being told that they might be failing in their jobs. So I think it was a reactionary thing to do. Michael Carrick was never in the picture to be Manchester United manager in the near future at all. Wish him the best of luck. Hope that it does all work out. But I do think that they got rid of him because they feel like there still is an opportunity to finish top 4. And they're hoping that this new manager bounce from Carrick is capable of doing that. We kind of had a new manager. Well, I was hoping for a new manager bounce with Darren Fletcher, who's gone back to the under-18s, by the way. You was at the Brighton game. Didn't quite get the manager bounce that we was hoping for, did we?
No. It it was awful again. It wasn't just I've been don't know how many times I've been this year, and I don't remember one game where I thought I'm so glad I went to that game. It was the same. The build up was weird. It was the atmosphere was weird. It was nervous. The first 5 minutes, you should be 2 up again. Didn't take our chances. And as soon as that Brighton goal went in, we might as well have all just gone home. The players' confidence is shot to bits. They just went, their heads just went, and there was nothing more you could do. Yeah, it was not good.
What was the feeling like around you in the stands? Like, what was it? Just like the goal went in, collective groan? Was there shouting at the players, at the management?
Yeah,
What was the vibe like?
it was really quiet, eerily quiet. Unfortunately, the atmosphere at the beginning was all singing and that. When the players walk out and you're optimistic and we're all on the same page. Within 10 minutes, that had gone. It was just silent, and it's you don't often see Old Trafford. Well, like that in the Wolves game, the first 45 minutes, and I said that would stick in my head for a long time, and it was very, very similar. This game, it's Brighton were the better team. They were more confident. They were. There's only Bruno who I think comes out of that game with anything, and he was trying everything. He was trying to be the talisman. He was doing what Bruno does. I felt sorry for Bruno because he was running everywhere. He was trying to defend. He was trying to attack. If anything was going to come good from that game, it was going to be from Bruno, and the rest of the players let him down, as far as I'm concerned. Some of them players were shocking. Ugarte being one of them as well. Yeah, I've got a list of 7 players there that were absolutely terrible.
Well, go through. Let's hear him.
Well, yeah, get the list out. Lenny Oro, Ineos signing. I don't know where.
I've got my doubts about Lenny.
I don't know if it can't be a confidence thing. It can't. Well, it could be a confidence thing. It feels like a quality thing with Lenny Oro because doesn't win headers, doesn't win tackles, didn't look great in the back three, looks even worse in a back four. Martinez, since we've gone to a back four, looks out of position. I know he's on the ball, he's very good. Defensively, I think he's getting found out since he's come back off his injury. I know it's harsh on him to do that. We're going to say the same players. The same players have been saying for years and years. Diogo Dalot should take his chances. I don't know why he's standing up front most of the game. Can't defend, can't attack. What's he doing in the team? Still, and every single manager persists to play him. They keep doing it. All right, I know Mazraoui was away, and can't wait till we get him back. But if he's injured again, Dalot's back in the team. You can't. You feel sorry for the lad because you can see he's trying, but that's not good enough. We'd all try. You put a United fan on that pitch, we'd all try. It doesn't mean it's good enough. It's just the fact that you're trying. I thought Mason Mount was non-existent. It was a non-existent performance from him. And I think when Shea Lacey came on the pitch, he showed you how it should be to be a Manchester United player. And for a young kid to come on and completely just show up some cojones, give me the ball, I want the ball, I'm going to stand out on the wing. That's not right. Mason Mount's an international footballer who's come in for a lot of money and did nothing. He might as well be stood on wing picking his nose. He honestly, he didn't show any interest in wanting the ball, making runs. He didn't look interested, Mason Mount. And I thought Cunha was another one. I know Cunha had a couple of shots. One of the lads in chat tried to tell me at halftime, "Oh, we've been the better team. We've done this." It didn't feel like that in the stadium, Nathan. It was terrible. It was slow, lethargic. It looked like they couldn't be bothered. And I thought, "Is he on about a new?" Well,
I've got to agree with your mate though, because on the first half, it looked like United were doing okay on the TV, and I know it's a different vibe when you're there in the stadium. Like we looked like we were creating. It just looks like we needed to take a chance. But no, I understand. You're there, you're watching it. You can see far more than what's being shown on the cameras. You can see who's in position, who's out of position. And the interesting thing for me watching from home and obviously from you in the stadium as well, this is Manchester United playing with freedom. Do you know what I mean? There was no real pressure on them to get a result in that game. I know every time you want to win, especially when you're playing at Old Trafford, but there was no real pressure on them. This was, you guys supposedly can play it with more freedom. You don't have to do this 3 at the back type nonsense. What have you got? Show us what you've got. And this is what they showed us. This is what they showed us. This is what they can do. And you've always been a strong supporter or like strong ideals of it's the players more than anything.
Yes.
And I think like it is, and we'll come on to mismanagement above the players and above the management soon. But you're right. Like you can get rid of that manager, but if you've still got players that have that are going through these managers over and over again, no matter what they're doing on the training pitch, because that's how they get selected at the end of the day, you're never going to win anything, ever.
No, exactly. But my brother-in-law came with me, and he's not been for probably 18 months. And he Wyoming was like, when you're there, you can see off the ball the mental stuff they do. You know the positions they take up because we've got decent seats, and you can see the whole pitch, and you can, why is he going there? What Dallo, especially, he just waltzes off up front, and you're like, you're our fullback. We need you to give us the width, be the overlap, let Shea Lacey cut his. And he stood up front. And so Cunha and Sesko going, well, where do I go now? Because he's taking up my space. He can't be told to be doing that. He just can't. Mason Mount wasn't doing anything to get involved in the game. But yet that bit of when you're there, you see more. Because I was on the chat room, really? We've been the better team. To me, it looked like Bournemouth Brighton just soaked up the pressure, got the goal, and thought, right, well, we can just frustrate these lads here now. The petulant fouls that United do is pathetic. They Brighton will just get the ball and they've run in, but Dallo, keep going on about Dallo. He runs into the back of you, and you can buy a foul easily, and you wouldn't expect the youth team to do that. Your knowledge of football is not very good if you're just diving into tackles and wasting time. You could see what Brighton would do. They were just wanting to waste time, break the game up, and it's frustrating. And when you're in the ground, you can see it coming, and I'm going, don't foul, the foul. That's another 2 minutes wasted. You can't build up you can't get any momentum going to get the goal. I thought when we scored the goal right at the end, I thought, because little one's like, we're going, because we normally try and leave a little bit early because it's awful to get out of Old Trafford. No, we're going to stay because there was nothing. As soon as that goal went in, you thought, right, well, we're going to go again now. Nothing. Fletcher must have been so frustrated on the side watching that. He must have been. Just a little thing to Shea Lacey where the referee, that's pathetic from the referee, I think. He's a young kid. Just have a word with him. I know in the rules it's ridiculous, but yeah, I thought it was ridiculous. Fair play to the young kid.
That's modern football, mate. I think if you do those things, all these players that go onto the pitch, no matter what age they are, they know that they can't do those things, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And you know, Shea Lacey shouldn't have done it. Chin up, he'll be back, and he'll be great when he does come back as well. It was worrying, I thought, the post-match comments from Darren Fletcher after that game, where he was essentially saying the same things that Ruben Amorim's been saying for the past 14 months, in that they need to show confidence and that they need to build themselves up, which speaks of fragile minds, which speaks of a fragile squad. And it doesn't matter who's going to be in charge of them. You know, Michael Carrick's going in there. He's supposed to be an amazing man manager. But can you get any more out of Diogo Dalot? Can you get any more out of Manuel Ugarte? Can you get any more out of Lisandro Martinez or Meni Yoro? Like, what can you get out of these players? If collectively they're weak-minded and spineless, what are you supposed to do? You can't be doing that. And Benjamin Sesko, apparently, when we signed him anyway, when we brought him in, one of the big concerns about him was he's really hard on himself, which is, you know, in some circumstances that can be good. He always wants to play his best, always wants to do more. In some circumstances, that's great. But if you're a striker and you're short on confidence and your shoulders are slumped, I don't want to see that on the pitch. Your teammates don't want to see that. He was making the runs. I'll give him that. He was making the runs. But it doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. I am starting to get a tiny bit of buyer's remorse with Matheus Cunha. And it's going to be even bigger as the season progresses if we're going to be playing 4-3-3. Because where's he going to play? Yeah. Where's he literally going to play in that team? Where's Ahmad going to play? Where's Mbeumo going to play? Where's Bruno going to play? How are you going to fit all of these players into the team? And they're all fans.
This comes... Well, I'll give Cunha and I'll give Sesko just a little bit of slack because Mbumo and Ahmad are massive misses for them. They are. If you took out if you put one of them two in instead of Mason Mount for that game, they create more. He needs link players, doesn't he, Cunha? And he tries to do his best. His first touch was so sloppy. His dribbling was sloppy as well. But you can see him. What do I do with it? Who do I give it to? And you can see he's trying to, I'll take it upon myself. And unfortunately, he just got crowded out. So I'll give him a little bit of slack. But like you say, where does he go in this team? We're probably going to come on to about the mismanagement of the squad in a bit. But that highlights it now, doesn't it? It's because he looks lost. Dorgu was another one, to be fair, who I wanted to give a little bit of credit because Dorgu, I've not been his biggest fan since he come in, but I think he's showing the spirit that we would like to see from all of our Manchester United players. He don't stop running, that lad. His quality might not be quite up to where we want it to be. He's a young kid, but he didn't stop. And he just kept going. And that's all I want to see. I don't want to see people waving their arms around. Don't want to see people sulking. Don't care. I want to see you run into someone. If you can't be quality on the ball or you haven't got the quality, I just want to see you hit someone. I want to see passion. Just passion. And I thought that's what the young kid did, Shea Lacey. I thought that's what Dorgu did as well. So I think they both did, and Bruno, obviously, because at one point, I just want to highlight this point before we move on. A ball went, I don't know how long was left, maybe 5-10 minutes. A ball went over the top and Brighton went on an attack. Lenny Yoro is defending and Bruno ran past him to chase an attacker. That's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. He's meant to be there as this pacey, young defender, Lenny Yoro, and you've let a midfielder run 15, 20 yards to chase the attacker that you're marking, and he just let him do it. If someone's not telling him in the change rooms, then that changing room's not right. I think this is something where these old players come back into it. The changing room would have managed some of these players, and they would have got them out. If you're too fragile to be at Manchester United, you should be found out soon enough, and you should be shown the door. And I don't think that's happened enough. The likes of Dalot, the likes of Agati would have been chewed up and spat out 15, 20 years ago. And they wouldn't have been anywhere near, because the players were going to go, he's not good enough. He's going to cost me points. He's going to make me look bad. Get him out. And that's what would have happened. I don't think the club is strong enough, or the dressing room is strong enough, to be fair.
I think that's probably going to be one of Carrick's big things as well. And I don't know if he's going to have the sentiment or the kind of, I don't know if he would have the power to essentially say, Ugarte, you're just not playing again. I'm using him as an example. But I don't know if it's like, if he would have the power to say, right, you're out of the team. Dalot, you're out of the team. Like, I need players that are able to do it. And I need players that have got passion, dipping back into the youth team, into the academy. He's already spoken about it. He said that the academy is so important to this club. You might even go back in there and just be like, right, this lad's in. We're not carrying these lads anymore, and they'll be gone at the end of the season. And Ineos, whoever it is, can get as much money as they can, but they're not playing because they're not doing anything. Yeah. That volley. This is the last thing I'll say on the Brighton game. That pass that Ugarte tried to play. Like, there was literally no one there that he was trying to pass it to. Half volley, smashed out of play. I nearly walked up the street. It was so bad. I could not believe a professional footballer that I was watching on television played that type of pass and then just jogged back to the centre circle afterwards. Like, oh yeah, shouldn't have done that, should I? Get out. So we're using this podcast as a little bit of a therapy session. We can't keep talking about Ineos, about the Glazers, about the management over and over again for each podcast. I know rival fans will probably be loving that bit of engagement, I guess. No one wants to hear good times at Manchester United, so it's all good. I've had a lot of Liverpool fans in our comments on social media as well. Basically, the post that I put up there about United being the biggest job in world football, and there's a lot of Scousers in there saying it wasn't. Gave me an example of AC Milan being a bigger job than Manchester United.
AC Milan, that's a big club, yeah.
But
No, it's not close, is it?
regardless.
Let's
No,
be
it's not
honest.
even. It's not even close. That one of them on YouTube went on to say that they're light years ahead of us. To which I had to remind them that they did get beat by Manchester United at Anfield not so long ago. So yeah, it's always fun. But I wanted to just go into the timeline of the decline of Manchester United, because it might seem like everything's happened very quickly and that when all of these chaotic moments are happening right now, but that's a microcosm of what's been happening in the last 18 months to 2 years. The decline started way back in the early 2000s. I don't even think Ahmad was born then, was he? Was he born in 2000? I think he might have been born in 2000.
Leave that bit out.
Yeah, I can't even remember. But I wanted to just chart it now, just to get it out of the way, have our big moan between now and the end of the podcast, and then we can move on next week. So if you don't want moaning, I suggest you listen to next week's podcast, because we're going to have a little bit of deep.
Oh, we'll moan again there. We'll moan again then, don't
we'll,
worry.
we'll certainly
We'll certainly
go
get-
on after the City game. I'm sure we'll be
After Derby, yes.
yeah, exactly. So I'm going to start then. I'm going to start from the beginning, from where it all went wrong. And like, obviously, Paul, we can think back to how we felt at that time and whether or not it seemed like a seismic thing. But I think once we start going through the list, as I've put together, start to notice all these little indicators that, hang on, things are going wrong here. I don't like it at all. So the first part then, for anyone that is unfamiliar with it, early 2000s, Sir Alex Ferguson fell out with, I think they were majority shareholders at the time at Manchester United, JP McManus and John Manier. And this was over the ownership of a racehorse called the Rock of Gibraltar. It was all over the news at the time. And it was something that I didn't really understand. And I'm sure many Manchester United fans didn't really care. The reason why it's worth mentioning on here, though, is because obviously in 2005, following the argument, following the fallout, Sir Alex Ferguson basically fell out with them. JP McManus, Manier, they went, right, we're out of here, and sold their shares to the Glazers in 2005. That was controversial because they didn't use a single penny of their own money to get the club. They leveraged it with debt, which we never cleared, and he's still on the club 21 years later, which is unreal when you think about it. But one of the things that a lot of older fans like mine and your age, Paul, they see Fergie as being the decisive force that let the Glazers in, because he opposed Rupert Murdoch taking over Manchester United. I don't know if you remember that. Early 2000s, Rupert Murdoch wanted to take over. And he opposed it because he could see, that type of ownership, it wasn't good for the club. And I'm sure he'll probably tell it a different way, but when he had that argument with those two guys over the racehorse, he kind of softened his stance on it, and he welcomed the Glazers with open arms. But I just wanted to, thinking back to that takeover, do you remember it happening? What was your feelings behind it at the time? Because for me, it was new owners.
Yeah, very, very similar. There wasn't all this. Do you know, like City got taken over by billionaires? There was a big furore. Is that the right word? There was a big thing behind it, and it's back then it was like, oh right, yeah, well, we're still winning things, we're still competing, still got Sir Alex there, and you kind of went, I wasn't overly bothered. Didn't think it was such massive news because it didn't feel like owners. It didn't happen, did it? It wasn't a thing that happened in the Premier League or in English football. So you kind of go, oh, right, yeah, all right, we'll crack on. We'll still be challenging next year. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, so no, I wasn't overly concerned.
And also thinking we just won the lottery because, American owners coming in, they must have money to invest. They'll keep us at the top because they'll be spending money. This was way before we knew, state ownership and things like that. This was way before that. So on the surface, it seemed like a good thing. But, just as a side note, the Glazers still haven't put any money of their own that they have made into Manchester United in 21 years. Just keep that as a factor. The other thing was, from 2005 onwards, if you look back at the transfer window and the transfer windows from then, it was United were still signing good players, but we weren't at the top table anymore. And it felt like the austerity approach was kicking in. So yes, Nani was very good. Yes, Park Ji-sung was very good. Yes, the De Silva twins were very good. But these were players, we weren't going and taking top boys anymore from big clubs. We were choosing young up-and-coming players, probably a bit forward-thinking actually, that could potentially make it. If not, we sell them on. Sell them on at a price. It's what Chelsea does now, right? That's their whole philosophy. But I think from that 2005, it was 2009 where I looked at it and I was like, "Ooh, United is skin, and I don't think we're challenging anymore." And do you remember why I might have thought that in 2009, mate?
I've just googled it. I've just thought that what came to my head was there's a transfer window that clicked, and I went, what? Really? It was when Ronaldo went, wasn't it? When Cristiano left. Yeah.
When
Now replacing with
left, well, Antonio Valencia and Michael Owen on a free. And I think, was that the season that we also got, it was either David Bellion or it was the Dutch lad. Oh man, what was his name? Why have I forgotten his name? He was like the new Robin, bald lad. Who was it? Come on, you can think.
You're struggling. Dutch lad, bald.
Was he Dutch? Maybe he wasn't Dutch. Maybe he was French. Oh man, this is going to kill me. Anyway, you Google it and I'll carry on with this.
I'm doing. I know what you mean, the winger. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And he was supposed to be like, "Don't worry, we've got the new Ronaldo." But when we got Michael Owen on a free, and it's like, "Oh, that's not a replacement for Ronaldo." Obviously, he served up some decent memories. The winner in the derby, obviously being one of them. Go on, you've got the name.
Obertan, wasn't it?
Yes,
Gabriel Obertan.
Yes. Gabriel Obertan. Yeah, had a very strange shaped head, like a butternut squash almost.
Yeah.
He when we signed them and we let Cristiano go. Remember, he almost went to Real Madrid the season before, right? But Sir Alex Ferguson famously said, "I wouldn't sell them a virus." But I mean, it all comes out in the wash. He promised him that he could leave next season if he just stayed for one more. But even with that planning, Manchester United's activity in the transfer market brought in those players that we just mentioned. And it
16 million
back. Yeah. It never brought them back to where we needed them to. Then obviously after 2013, we know what that means as well. That's Sir Alex last season. Not just for him, but for David Gill as well, who was a steady hand behind the scenes, who was well respected in boardrooms up and down the country and across the world in terms of negotiations and getting players in. And that squad, even though they won the league during that 2012-2013 season, it was threadbare. It was threadbare. There was players coming to the end of their time, way past their peak. I think what was left for David Moyes afterwards, and I don't know if you agree on this, but it was a sure sign of like, this ain't enough. And it was the beginning of the era of David Moyes and Ed Woodward. And I mean, don't need to speak about Ed Woodward too much to know exactly where things were going around there. But again, I remember, I don't mind saying this. Did you go to Marley, my brother? Did you go to Marley's stag do in Newcastle? Was you there?
No.
You didn't go. Okay. So I remember that was just before Sir Alex Ferguson's last game at Old Trafford. So I remember driving back down from Newcastle down to Bath. I had to pull over to the side of the road when they was playing The Impossible Dream, when he was coming out to give his speech and everything. I was crying my eyes out.
Yes, I was there. Yeah, sorry, I was there. Yeah, Newcastle. Yeah.
I was crying my eyes out. Like, because it was huge, obviously, for Ferguson to leave. But again, when we're talking about the decline, the replacement wasn't good enough. The replacement was someone that had Premier League experience, but was coming in to work with a squad that, and he wasn't going to be backed in the transfer market. Marwan Fellaini came in. Was it Marwan Fellaini came in at the last minute, or was it Juan Mata that came in at the last minute?
No, Marwan Fellaini, we overpaid for him, didn't we?
Overpaid for him. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's every player under Ed Woodward, because he was mocked. He was mocked up and down the land for his lack of football knowledge. But you was going to say something there about the.
I was going to say something that I know that, I don't know if you know the saying, sliding doors moments and stuff like that, and the obvious thing, and I think we all felt that it was going to happen. There was two or three things that happened there when Sir Alex left. Well, he carried the team, didn't he? And I think it proved what he did for this club in dragging us to that title. Robin van Persie obviously helped. But I think I expected Pep Guardiola to be the man who came in. And I know there was a famous meal where they sat down, didn't they, Sir Alex and Pep. And when that happened, I was like, we're going to get Guardiola. We're going to get Guardiola. Now, you imagine the trajectory the club would have taken if Guardiola would have come in instead of Moyes. That's just, it would have gone a different direction completely. That's just one thing.
Would it?
Then, well, yes, because I think Guardiola is that type of man that would have dragged this club kicking and screaming. He would have commanded respect. It's not, David Moyes had no respect from these players, likes of Rio Ferdinand and Vidic. Whether that's what you want from your footballers, but they threw him under the bus, didn't they? But they'll come out and say no, they didn't. But we all know that their egos and their attitude, they're not going to listen to David Moyes. They would have listened to Pep Guardiola. Otherwise, they would have been gone quicker than what they could have. Pep Guardiola would have turfed out every single weak link, and because he's a bit mad, isn't he? It's a bit like Sir Alex. He would have turned this around. And it wouldn't have gone in this direction, and it wouldn't have been out the door in 18 months.
But when we're talking
needed a rebuild,
when we're talking about sliding doors moments, that was before Moyes was even in line to be taking over Manchester United, because the actual timeline of that was Sir Alex was supposed to retire the season before he did, and he said, "I want to do one more, but I want to keep you. Like, we definitely want you as the next person." Man City, obviously newly minted, came in and was like, "Nope, we want you now." And he took the job, and the rest is history. So again, part of the decline came from not having the next management structure, the successor. It wasn't there, and across all the club, never had a successor for David Gill, never had a successor for the manager, or players retiring or being past their best. And it was, scattergun approach to transfer markets, always trying to sign a big player, a big name, rather than getting what we actually needed at the time. So, an absolute disaster. 2014, right? I want to take you back to that. When Moyes was sacked, and again, this is a huge part of the decline. When Moyes was sacked, apart from the relief, which I know we all felt as Manchester United fans, because he was no longer in charge, and after the Fergie years, what the hell's going on? What is this guy doing? Come on, Brett, get the next guy in. Was you as shocked as I was that Manchester United actually fired someone?
Yes, yeah, completely, because you don't expect it, do you? You just think, no, it'll turn around. No, I know we finished, like, what was it, 7th, 8th, or something like that. It doesn't seem that bad now, does it? But you thought, well, we won't sack him. We'll stick with him, and we'll get through it. We'll get Champions League next year, and we'll kick on and we'll challenge, just because that's what we're used to. We're not, especially our age, we're not used to not competing, just because Sir Alex kept us there all the time. And you expected patience, you expected them to back him in the transfer window, which is, well, to talk about sliding doors. They didn't, did they? And this is a pattern where you're going to see when we go through these managers now. They never said, right, you're our man, we're going to back. What do you want? This is what I want. There you go. That's what you got. Now we can judge you. And they didn't. They should have got Bale. Should have got, was it Cruz? should have got, I think, Cesc Fabregas was another one. I think there was all these names that were linked and were supposed to come in. And David Moyes came in and went, oh, right, oh, brilliant, we're going to have these. Now I can attack. You imagine Gareth Bale in that team. Now we can attack, and then we're going to go for it, and we're going to have wingers, and we're going to play the United way. And then they came in and gave him Marouane Fellaini. Oh, well, thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah. No, I was really surprised they sacked him, but that was the start of when you went, we're in trouble here, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly that. Because then they kept listing from side to side and going with like managers, Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Eric Ten Hag, and obviously Ruben Amorim was the last one under different ownership. But the mistakes were still being made, and it's the Glazers that have overseen all of this. Like, I know that they don't often do interviews, they stay clear of what's going on. They kind of, and this must be great for the likes of Ed Woodward, Richard Arnold, and all those guys. They don't interfere with anything. They don't talk about anything. They just let them get on with it, which is good and bad. But unfortunately, they don't make big decisions on who's running things. So they just let, bless you. So they just let things go. And that's why we're in this state that we're in now. They obviously signed off the checks on players. So they obviously signed off on Marouane Fellaini. They signed off on, loan moves for like Radamel Falcao. They signed off on Angel Di Maria, bringing Pogba back. All of these dreadful signings, but it's the people below that are feeding back to them, going, "Yeah, this is the right people for us." And this is, again, it's another sure sign of the decline in the transfer market. People that don't know football making those decisions and going up to the big boys at the top and going, "Oh, can you sign off this? I'm about to spend 400 million on players that will get nothing back on."
We'll come on to Ineos, I presume, in a minute as well, won't we?
Yes.
And we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about the people that they put in charge. But you think about, like you say, Ed Woodward. As honestly, that it's such a big mistake, and it's probably took us back 20, 30 years, and everybody else. That was another thing where United were able to stay with everybody else. When Ed Woodward came in and we had these transfer windows, and he was flying around the world trying to sign this guy and that guy and this guy, and everyone's laughing at us. That's when everybody else kicked on, and they pulled years and years ahead of us within that time period. And as a United fan, you're like, well, what is going on here? How is he the man that's being allowed to make these decisions and continue to make the decision, continue to make not just bad decisions, awful decisions.
And the thing is, that's something that has crept in and is now a mainstay at Manchester United, is making decisions on footballers that they have no clue about. There's no contingency plan. We've got a whole scouting network at Manchester United that doesn't seem to be able to create long-term successors to the players that are currently in the squad or build towards it. Again, we'll get back to the dates and the slide of the timeline of the decline. So after that, obviously, we get Richard Arnold in 2022 when Ed Woodward leaves. Just frying pan and fire spring to mind with that. 2024. Now this is where we kind of get up to speed with things. Ineos purchases 25% stake in Manchester United. It's a move that keeps the Glazers in control of the club. Again, something that was not popular with fans at all. And Ratcliffe and co given complete autonomy by the Glazers to do things that they want to do and take over the sporting side of things, which is perfect for the Glazers because now they don't take the brunt of anything that happens. But again, let's go back to 2024. Let's go back to, right, so Jimmy's in. Thoughts and feelings from that time, and then how you feel about that now.
I obviously wanted full sale, like the rest of the United fans wanted. And well, at the time when it come up, United are up for sale, you're thinking, brilliant, we're going to get rid of them. They're going to be gone, and we're going to put it all behind us. And even if we didn't, kick on and win leagues. As long as they're gone, the Glazers, we don't care. You need to go. You need to get out because you're leeching off this club. You've done it for enough years. We've had our worst period that we can remember. I mean, obviously, I know there was worse periods back there, but that wasn't down to the ownership. We need you gone. And when the full sale was there, it had to happen, whether it was there or not, because the rumours come out that it wasn't actually an offer. And the next best thing was, right, at least Sir Jim's going to come in. There was all these rumours about him being a United fan. Still not convinced because he tried to buy Chelsea. And you kind of go, well, at least there's somebody else, not the Glazers. They're going to come in. Hopefully, they can improve what we're on. Because you can improve on what we're on because we're at such a low period. They owned, was it his niece, isn't it, that they own as well? But and then you hear what their fans are saying and you go, oh, right, okay, I'm a bit nervous now about what, because they hated him, don't they? And these fans hate him. And then you got, right, okay, maybe they're going to put money in. Then he did the interview, blah, blah, blah. And you kind of go, right, at least there's a little bit of hope there. How wrong were we?
Best in class. Best in class. And speaking of best in class, in 2024, when they announced their leadership team, it was CEO Omar Barada, Technical Director Jason Wilcox, Sporting Director Dan Ashworth, RIP, and Sports Psychology Guru, or whatever it is whatever name they gave, Sir Dave Brailsford, who came from Team Sky, the successful cycling team, which may or may not be involved in doping scandals, and that might be coming out
Allegedly.
soon. Yeah, allegedly, just to keep the lawyers off our case. But we're looking at that again. In hindsight, hindsight's a beautiful thing. But you look at that and you think, right, okay, proper football people. Those Barada and Wilcox have come from City. They must know what they're doing. They've got some experience within football. They know how to build a successful club. They'll be making the right decisions. Dan Ashworth, everyone wanted him. Every single team up and down the land wanted him because they knew what he could do. He had such a great reputation with the England setup, and everyone bought into his ideas. So it's no wonder that they wanted to pick him up. Brailsford, he's another one that loves a slogan. Not just best in class, but the what is it, gaining the edge or something like that for Brailsford, the sporting edge. And it was always one of the things that he loved to do. And he lasted 2 minutes. I don't think he was able to get his point across to those players because it was a different sport. They weren't on bicycles for a start. So it's
no respect.
Yeah.
Footballers respect footballers that have won things. It
happened at Southampton, didn't it? So Clive Woodward came in after England, and he came in as technical director. And it's like, who's this guy?
Yeah, what do you know about kicking football? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and
exactly.
They're a special breed, footballers, and they won't listen to anybody who's not won things.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I think that is fair. And I think in any sport, when you're in a sport and you're being told something by someone that's never, either played it or has been part of it, it's difficult to get your head around it. It's difficult to understand them. It's difficult to try and get exactly the picture that they're trying to paint. And I think it's a disaster. Anyway, Erik ten Hag's contract was extended in 2024 as well. Even at the time, I don't even need to look back in hindsight for this one. At the time, I was like, that is a mistake, especially as it was well documented that Ineos were already talking to Thomas Tuchel. He was already talking to Marco Silva. They'd already had meetings with these guys before because they wanted them in and Erik ten Hag out. Even by his own admission, after he was fired eventually, by his own admission, he was sat on a beach in Ibiza expecting to be sacked, expecting to be out of a job. But he came back because the powers that be said, we're going to bring in some more assistant coaches, assistant managers, and we're going to help you. And we're going to do what you want to do. And we're going to spend this money and we're going to extend you. And it shows our trust in you. We're going to back you in the transfer market. Here you go. And then they started to on more money than he would have been on more money that are paid out more money than they would have done if they'd have just kept him on his original contract and sacked all the backroom staff as well. all of these people that were booted out. And I think that's when, with Ineos, not just the Dan Ashworth thing, I know that came, did that come at the same time? Was it
No, I
before
think
Ten
it's a bit
Hag? Was
late.
it after Ten Hag?
I think it was a later one, so I think it was just
Okay. I think I think he was end of 2024. I think he left. I think it was December. And Ten Hag left what? Ugh, I can't even remember. Can't remember when he left. But that was a sign where I was like, "Ooh, are they making an executive decision for the business, for the club, that's like, right, okay, we can't accept this, get out." We could all back them if they looked at it and just went, yeah, this isn't working. We need to be higher than this. Right, this is what we're going to do. On the other hand, this was during all of the redundancies, huge amounts of money that we're just paying out to get rid of someone that were just extended. Shaky ground by that point, right?
well, at that point, I mean, like you said about hindsight, but at that point, I think we all thought, do they know what they're doing? Or are they just winging it? Are they just trying to get through and just make these decisions? Because every single decision that you look back on, now you go, well, that was the wrong decision. That was the wrong decision. Have they made one right decision? You sent me the agenda last night. I thought what I'll do is I'll try and play a bit of devil's advocate, and I'll stick up for them, and I'll do this, and I couldn't find things where you go, well, they've done that right. They've done that right. The training ground was just a big PR stunt. Don't care what you say. It might look all right. It's the best in class. No, it's not. So I'm not having that. I'm not having the fact that you stuck a bit of a gaffer tape on the stadium just to hold that together. Not having that. I'm not having the fact that you brought all these kids in and the youth team's doing well. Because at the minute, how does that help the first team if you're not going to play them? Just doesn't help at all, does it? And some of them might not make it anyway. So no, you find yourself going, what have they done that's right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of signings that they've made that aren't right. Ugarte, etc. Yoro, we've just already touched on them. So yeah, I found it very difficult, Nathan, to stick up for them or find many things that they've done right. Incompetence.
Again, I know that they brought in Cal McCauley as well to kind of head up the senior team scouting. So that could be seen as a good thing, but only time will tell with stuff like that. But when he's going into a setup that seems to be pure chaos, how is anyone supposed to thrive in that environment? It just doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, we're right up to date with the decline. The only thing that I want to talk about now, or just to finish off with this, is the club signed 3 number 10s, essentially, or 2 number 10s and a striker in the summer transfer window for a new boss, Ruben Amorim, who had a very specific style that he was going to play. And these were the boys that were going to take him forward. However, they didn't buy a central midfielder, which they desperately needed. And they did not sign any wing-backs, specialist wing-backs that could play in this formation. So again, you're looking at the transfer window and you're going, what are you up to, lads? What are you doing?
Absolutely. Balmy.
What are you doing there? And it is bad. And at the time, you can look at it and you can go, that's a decent window. For Amorim, that was a decent window. For his strategy, that was a decent window. Now, for a team that's probably going to go back to 4-3-3, still a decent window?
No, I mean, if Ralph Ranieri told us, I know we've played these clips on here about it being open heart surgery, and it still comes down to how long ago was that when Ralph was in the club?
Like a million years,
something like that. And it's still the same thing. It needs this open heart surgery it's going on about. The thing that gets me and the thing that's frustrating me most is the fact that, all right, Ineos came in and they came in with this thing of, we're going to have a club identity. It's going to be, we're going to put that into the club and this is what we're going to do. I think it was young, attacking, brave football, something like that. No matter what the manager's going to be, this is going to be our identity. And I can't see anything in this is our identity. I can't see what they've implemented and said this is what we're going to do, which makes you quite. Does Wilcox know what he's doing? That job of Wilcox being at Manchester United, that if he's the man that's making the decisions and he's running it, his job should be on the line right now. And I believe that should be a Manchester United man. That man there in his seat should be Manchester United through and through. He's a left winger from Blackburn that's been at City for years. Omar Barada was at City. So if you're not Manchester United through and through, that position there is the main one. If you're running the club, I'd boot him out and put Fletcher in there. If that's the man who's making the decisions, that needs to be Manchester United. Or you need to prove yourself worthy of being at our club. And I can't think of many things. I can't think of one, to be fair, that he's done right. There's no identity. There's no left wingers. There's no plan of continuity. Struggle to say that. 6 morning. Can you see anything there? For the life of me, I can't see. You've brought in a man who plays a back three. You know he plays a back three. And he said, I'm not going to change. So you were willing to change Manchester United from wingers, from a back four, from attacking football to this back three European style football that has been proven doesn't work. Obviously, now we all know it doesn't. I know I stuck up for Ruben Amorim. That was me sticking up for stick with the plan, blah, blah, blah. Pathetic decisions from Manchester City staff is what I'm going to say.
Yeah. It's starting to feel like a Trojan horse with those guys coming in and doing this.
Well, they jumped ship, didn't they? They jumped ship as soon as all them charges, which we've still not bloody heard about the charges, have we, on what's going on. They've jumped ship like rats to the other side of town, and now they're making us sink with them.
We will, well, like rats with Ratcliffe, but we will. I do want to get onto those individually after when we get to the break here, but we just want to finish off with the timeline of decline. The biggest one clearly is sacking Ruben Amorim, and you just touched on it then. Came in with a style of play, knew what style of play he was coming in with, did not have a contingency plan to fire him when he became angry at constantly being asked to change his system. And now we've had Darren Fletcher for 2 games as a caretaker manager, and now we've got Michael Carrick in as interim manager. Neither of those two would have been in the picture at all to be Manchester United manager in the last 6 months or so. That smacks of people that don't know what they're doing and desperate to try to dig their way out of it by knee-jerk reactions. And that type of thing might have worked around businesses like petrochemicals that Jim Glazer. Aha, there's it. There's a good one for you. That Ratcliffe is used to, and even the Glazers as well. You know, it's you've done something wrong, right? You're fired. These guys, Barada and Wilcox, have cost the club millions for their decisions. And we'll go on to talk about them in a second. But the biggest concern for me is that they decided to sack someone because he didn't like the way that they were talking to him. They didn't like the way that he was talking to them. And that, for me, is why United are in a complete decline right now. And until that's fixed, there's no hope of Manchester United getting back to where they was. We touched on it in the last section, but we'll do it here now, where we can hold each one of them accountable for the disaster that has happened at Manchester United under Ineos's reign. So the first person that I want to put up front, and you've already spoken about him, but it's worth reiterating again, Jason Wilcox. I want to get your thoughts on how you think he's doing at Manchester United. You've specified a little bit just before the break, but do you think that he is the right person for this role? Do you think he's stealing a living?
Oh, without knowing the ins and outs of, you're not at the club, are you, every single day? So you don't actually know what he's putting into place. It's a tough one, Nathan. We know his career. I mean, he's come from City under 18s and he's gone Southampton, etc. He's gone there. He's done bits, and he's got a good reputation in football for being a football man who can build things, and the youth system. That's what he's got for his plan, his foresight to come for it to come into play, because the youth team is very, very good at the minute. And I know like Nicky Butt was saying, oh well, it's not this, it's not that. It does stand up with the others. It does stand up with Chelsea. It does stand up, maybe not City, up there, but it's getting there. So for his dream, if you like, his vision to come into play, it's going to take 5 years because the kids aren't ready. So he could be putting in stepping stones for the next 5 years for some of these kids to come in and carry us to better times. That's the only thing I can see positive that he's done, because some of his other decisions have been terrible. But that's the only thing I can hang on.
But the issue is with Jason Wilcox, he hasn't been brought in to do that. He's brought in to do a much senior position than that. He's not here to do the academy. There's already people in place that are running the academy. Jason Wilcox was brought in to further the evolution of the squad in general, using his years of knowledge. And let's be honest, he got to that position that he's currently in because he was the one that backed Barada to bring Ruben Amorim in, or at least said, okay, yeah, do it, even though he knew he had doubts about it. And I've said this before, but that smacks of someone that's spineless. And if you've got someone in there that's willing to just give up their principles, like you look at Ruben Amorim, he died on his sword for what he believed in. Can you say that about Jason Wilcox? If it is to be believed that he was the one that said, all right, okay, yeah, let's go and get Ruben Amorim, but I do have my doubts.
No, no, you can't. I suppose you can't. It's the other thing. The other person I was going to compare him to, because at the time when they were looking for someone for that position, I wanted Monchi. Monchi, when I think he went to Villa instead, didn't he? And he's a man who's got a very big reputation. When you say best in class, you'd be thinking that type of man, wouldn't you? And the signings that he's made in the past and in the future, since he went to Villa, like Malcolm Rodgers, people like that. Torres, I think, was another one that he brought in at Villa. That was a man that was best in class, and he brought in proper football people, and he knows football inside and outside. So you can't say Wilcox has done anything right, can you? What can we say he's done right? So when you come back to stealing a living, is that is literally it. If you've not done anything right in your job, and you're taking an absolute massive amount of wages, and there's no plan going forward, yeah, terrible. Yeah. I'd have to agree.
And then obviously we talk about his boss, his immediate boss, Omar Barada, who, again, I think he's done one or two interviews, very stilted ones on the preseason tour of the US. We talked about, I mean, it made me feel a bit sick when he was supposed to be talking about Manchester United. Clearly he had some sponsors that he had to mention, because he crammed those guys in there with what he was talking about as well. I'm not saying that he doesn't have the minerals to do this job, but I know for a fact from inside of Manchester City, when he left, it was met with joy. It was met with, it wasn't a, oh no, Omar, don't go. People behind the scenes at City were like, brilliant, top stuff. Not to his face, but they were like, secretly, excellent, off you go.
Well, you think of the people that were in that City backroom staff, like Taziki, but I can't struggle to say his name. The lad they got from Barcelona, he's a football man, isn't he? And if he's getting told, that's the chap, yeah. If he's getting told what to do by Omar Barada, and he's having to answer to him, he'd be like, well, what do you know? What do you know about that board?
Well, he wasn't there, but this is the thing. Omar wasn't doing any of that. Omar was the head of the City group, so he was in charge of basically establishing football teams around the world. So he was the one that who's the football team that they have in they have New York City, don't they? New York City football group.
The one in Sydney, is it?
Is it Sydney? Is it Melbourne?
Like,
Melbourne? Anyway, they have a City football group there. They had one in India, which they just they've pulled out of the backing for that in recent weeks. He was in charge of that side of things. Making Manchester City a global entity was what he was supposed to do. But now
so he's
he's
a business
overseeing.
man,
Yeah, and he came from a telecommunications company. He knows his stuff. He's clearly very bright. He's intelligent. I'm sure he's probably a nice guy. Is he the man that comes in to oversee Manchester United returning back to the top of the table from a football perspective? I don't know. Is he another Ed Woodward? I don't know.
well,
But
the
can
proof's
we
in the
look at his
pudding, isn't it?
decisions? Exactly. Can we look at his decisions that he's overseen and say he's done a good job? So signing off on Eric Ten Hag's extension, signing off on bringing in all those assistant managers, including Ruud van Nistelrooy, and then bringing in Ruben Amorim, who is like, oh, this is the guy who I think he was on Manchester City's list of successors for Pep Guardiola, should he ever leave. Did he just get him because it was someone that was on that list? Or was it well researched and he'd be a good fit for Manchester United? Who knows? But again, no contingency plan for sacking the man that he wanted.
The one person that we can probably look at and be a little bit confident in is Vivell, isn't he? He's got a bit of reputation about him. Hopefully he's the man who's making proper decisions. He's the man that's going to come in and say, no, this is right. I'm hanging my hopes on Vivell being the man that gets listened to more than these businessmen, because he has got a bit of a reputation about knowing football. But he's still not Manchester United, which is frustrating.
But I mean, this is Barada that we're talking about right now. I get what you're saying about Christopher Vivell. I think, he will prove his worth down the line when he's working with the scouting department. I think that we've missed that conduit between the scouting network and the people above, and that's what he brings. He knows people all over the world. I think a lot of these scouts were just sat on their backside twiddling their thumbs and not bringing any players in, which is why, when they're asked, oh, who have you got from South America? It's like night before doing your homework. There's this yeah, you're never going to get him. He's off to Real Madrid. So it's good that there is going to be some sort of cohesion, I guess, with scouting and with that network, with Christopher Vivell. But Omar Barada, that's a person that will report into him. It's not, I don't think he was part of the signing him up. I think that was more of a Jim Ratcliffe thing.
Right.
Vivell might be the person that can fix it all.
The thing is, Nathan, Omar Barada and Jason Wilcox and Ineos are going nowhere, are they? We have to accept the fact that they're going nowhere. If Ratcliffe comes out and sacks them two now, there'd be absolute uproar, wouldn't there? So I think we have to accept the fact that they're not going anywhere.
You say that, and we're not even on to Jim Ratcliffe yet, so I'll get your thoughts on him in a second. But I think both of them need to be sacked. I think Jason Wilcox and Omar Barada, and I think I would have more respect for Jim Ratcliffe if he came out and he said, didn't work. They pay as much as the manager of the club does, or the head coach. They pay the same price. If you cost this club financially, if you cost it in terms of performance, if you're not hitting the targets that I set you, then you have to go as well. And I think that, if Jim Ratcliffe wants to retain any semblance of fan support, he needs to get rid of those two, and he needs to bring in people that know what they're doing. And as you said before, I don't want to dwell on this because we were going to talk about the ghost of Sir Alex Ferguson, but it needs to be someone that has a connection with the club. It needs to be. You can't recreate Manchester City at Manchester United. You cannot. You just can't. No. It's different.
No, you can't.
It's completely.
It's a different animal, isn't it? It's a completely different animal, like you say. And that position, like I said before, should be held by a Manchester United person who knows the club inside and out, who has aura, who has some sort of power over at the club and history at the club. That's why I mentioned Darren Fletcher there. He knows the club inside out. He should be making football decisions because he understands what we expect and what we need. Wilcox doesn't, does he? He doesn't get it. He doesn't, and neither does Barada, because they both come from the other side of town and are just there for themselves, if you like. We want someone who's there for Manchester United.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with that. And the last one, obviously, of the trio is sadness. So Jim Ratcliffe, obviously, he's bankrolling everything. Rumours that he was interfering with team selection, which again is a massive red flag for any team's owners. You know, you don't want someone coming in and going, yeah, change to that formation just on a whim. He's never played the game. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to go and tell him how to put different chemicals into whatever it is he's selling. Do you know? Like that's not how it works. So where do you rate him? And maybe you can order these people in trust levels. Who do you trust most out of that three to make the right decisions moving forward?
Barada would be bottom of the list from what I think, from what I've seen. I'll be honest with you. Wilcox, I think he's trying to put a long-term plan together with going through the youth system, etc. I know you said that's not his thing, but I think since he's come in, I think you've seen a targeted to get the best kids, the likes of Cheeto Olby, you know, Aiden Heaven. I think you've seen a shift in that's what we're going to try and do for the next 5 years. So I get your point, but I think that's what Wilcox has tried to do. I think with Sir Jim, it was a tough job he's come into, Nathan, wasn't it? With the Glazers, and he's come in there and he's trying. He's tried to put the training. I know I said before it's not a big deal, but he's trying these little things to try and get us back to where we were. It's such a tough job to come in and clean up the mess that the Glazers are left behind and still have them over your shoulder.
He cares about the football. Do you think he cares about the
cares
football?
about, I think he cares about his own reputation and his own legacy.
His legacy, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think he cares about. But I think that means he's trying still. He's still trying. And I don't think he's just like the Glazers just left us to the side. Oh, I'll just keep taking money. And I don't think he's in it for the money, is it? He's in it for his own legacy. So I think he's trying for his own legacy to get us to compete to where, to just to try and be where we are. So if you look at what he's tried to do, the people he's tried to bring in, he is still, maybe, I know he's made wrong decisions, made bad decisions, but he is still trying. And when it doesn't work, right, come on, we need to try something else. We try and get someone. So I think he is trying to make decisions to take us back to there. Fortunately, he's making wrong decisions. That's where I'm at, though.
So your ranking, it in terms of trustworthiness, Ratcliffe's at the top, Wilcox underneath him, and then Omar Barada, basement dwelling in third.
Yeah, I don't trust any of them, Nathan, to be honest with you, mate. No.
But you certainly can't trust the billionaire. I'm saying that right now.
Exactly, yeah.
Because they're only ever in it to make money, mate. That's the only thing. And as I said before in the newsletter, you can obviously get at fergusonpodcast.com. He only cares about making a monument to himself. He wants that stadium, the New Trafford or whatever he wants to call it. That's going to be his legacy once he's gone. That'll be his thing. I can't see anything else.
If you ain't championship, though, does it? None of that.
Exactly, mate. And it happens to the biggest clubs, mate. They can sink without a trace with bad ownership and with the wrong decisions being made around the club, and that's what it feels like. All these past two segments that we just talked about, the timeline of decline and the thoughts on this setup now at Ineos, the hierarchy, it spells disaster, mate.
I said it last week, didn't I, Nathan? There's only so many times you can make bad decisions until it sinks. And we've made that many, they've made that many bad decisions that we are on the verge of sinking. This next 6 months and this next decision that they make to put the manager in is as big as that could be United done, couldn't it? As being one of the biggest clubs in the world. This next 6 months, if you put the wrong man in charge in the summer, because it looks like it looks like it's going to be in the summer, this decision. If that decision is wrong, that could be United What we know Manchester United to be, that could be us done, unfortunately. And it's the biggest decision in Sir Jim's life, in Manchester United's careers, in all of our fans, in our Manchester United lives. This next managerial decision is that big; it can't be underestimated.
We'll skip. I was going to have a break here, but we might as well just go straight into it. So, the best case scenario then for Manchester United, is it a full sale? Is it more investment? Is it just getting the structure correct? What is the best case scenario for Manchester United right now?
Best case scenario is they all up and leave, and somebody comes in who's not the Glazers or has any attachment to the Glazers. That's the best case scenario. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen.
Again, that is a sobering thing. I think full sale is probably the only way that it works, is someone that clears the debt and isn't hamstrung by debt, that can then move the club forward, has the time and the patience to see out these things. I know there's many people that don't want state ownership, but look at what we've currently got. Look at the state of things now. It's a disaster. We've got owners in the US that don't care and just keep taking money out all the time. And we've got someone from the UK that's trying to play football manager. But unfortunately, you can't just reset and start a new game with a football club in real life. So you have to make the right decisions and then live with them afterwards.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the point, the whole thing about what we've gone on about here now, if we had new owners, we're in a transfer window now. This is an opportunity to make a statement, kick on. People say, "Oh, you can't do this in a winter transfer. You can't do that," and I'm guilty of saying it as well. You could. City have just gone and got Semenyo. They're just about to go and get Mark Gay. If you had serious owners who were serious about getting into the Champions League, they wouldn't be writing. We're in the 14th now. They wouldn't be writing off the first 2 weeks of a transfer window. They'd be going in and go, right, we're serious. Get him in. And if you can't get Semenyo, right, who's second on your list for a left winger? Get him in. Get him in for the 1st or the 2nd of January. And if you can't, if you don't, who's third on your list? That's what serious owners would do. And it feels like Ineos are using this opportunity to sack Ruben Amorim and go, oh, well, we can't go into the transfer window now and spend money because we're not sure who the manager's going to. No, absolute bull is I'm calling there. No, if you've got this contingency plan and you're serious and you said, no, this is going to be the club's way, this is what we're going to do, Wilcox is going to make the signings, go and sign as a left winger, pal. Go and sign as a centre midfielder. Get your hand in your pocket, Scruffy Jim. And you're the one who's come out and said, oh, well, I'm serious. We're going to be doing this. No, you're selling us. You're selling us a dream, aren't you? And you're just using it as an excuse to write off the next 6 months. And then what you're going to do in summer? You're going to go and back the man then, are you? Do it now. We need a left winger now. We need a centre midfielder now. We need a right back now. Go and get him now.
I can't disagree with any of that. And I think you're right. They'll hide behind the sacking of Ruben Amorim and say, well, we can't just buy players for Michael Carrick. But again, counter that with exactly what you just said. We should have someone that's making the transfers that isn't the manager. That's the whole point, or the head coach. It's been a fairly sobering podcast. I'm going to leave it here in a second, but I wanted to ask you 2 things before we go. Do you think it helps having Sir Alex Ferguson around and continuing this thread of this is what we used to do? This is how, the reminder of the standards that we used to keep. The same with the ex-players and, your Nicky Butts and your Paul Scholes that still go to the games and, still commenting on it. Gary Neville still commenting on it. Does it help or does it hinder Manchester United? And secondly, should we just leave it all behind?
No, I don't think you should. I don't think you should forget your history, Nathan. I think Sir Alex showed us what this club was all about. He built us. For us, our age, he is Manchester United. So you don't forget about your past. He set the standards, and I think that is what hangs over this club is the expectation of Sir Alex. And when you cut to him in the stadium and he looks a broken figure, it's heartbreaking for some United fans. It really is. To see him, that man, what he built, sinking the way it is, what he left behind, and for it to be going downhill like it is and just continue to go downhill, it it is heartbreaking. So no, you don't forget what Sir Alex does. You never do. You look at that. You walk to the stadium, you see his statue there, and you think that's us. That's Manchester United. Don't ever forget the standards that he sets. And if you can't do your job up to them standards, or you've not got the will to win, the drive, well, then you're not for Manchester United, are you? Get out. You've had 12 months, you've had 18 months. If you can't do it, fair enough, we'll find someone who can. And that's what Sir Alex would have done.
Okay. I think that's fair. I think there is a counter argument to say that they're constantly trying to live in the past and they haven't evolved the football since then. And I think if he wasn't there, or if we hadn't have been this successful, we might have moved on with a new way of playing a lot sooner. But I think the likes of Barada and the likes of Wilcox, who don't understand what it's like to play for Manchester United, don't understand what it's like to coach or manage at Manchester United either. I think they're trying to balance things rather than implementing everything their own way. In fact, I'm going to counter myself there. I think they tried to do things differently, realized that it was an absolute joke and fans wouldn't take it, and have now looked to get back on the counter-attacking football 4-4-3-3 type system.
I get what you're saying, and I understand what you mean. I think with Sir Alex, you can work hard, can't you? If you keep working hard, you'll eventually get somewhere. And I think the players, I don't know what the staff are doing behind closed doors. If you're trying your best and you keep going and you end up just working hard, you will get encouragement from the crowd. You will get, oh, well, he's working hard and he's doing this. And then you build on it, don't you? If you've got 11 players working hard and the whole club is pulling in the same direction, staff, youth team, dinner ladies, if they're all on board, you eventually turn it around and you go in a direction. They're not all pulling in the same direction. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sinking like this, are they? There's obviously something rotten at the core that's making sure that we can't turn it around. Whether that something is a Glazers, probably is, isn't it? It probably is that. And so Jim's trying to extinguish this stink that they've left behind for years, and he's finding it so hard to do. Rotten at the core.
Rotten at the core. Maybe one of those dinner ladies can play right back instead of Dallo. Who knows? But maybe we'll find out in the next game. Right. Well, that's it. That's the end of the podcast today. We wanted to air all of our grievances in one podcast. So sorry if that was sounded absolutely miserable from start to finish. But I felt it was nice to kind of get it all out there. Cathartic, moan about the ownership, and then move on to the football. Got Manchester City at the weekend, which is when the next podcast will be on, which should be fun. I don't expect anything big from that, but at least we'll be able to talk about football again, Paul. So that's all I really care about.
Yeah, it's better, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. Right then. Thanks for listening, and we'll speak to you again after the Manchester derby.